In this video, we're going to discuss the project work that's required for your endpoint assessment. And it's in three specific areas. First of all, we've got the project overview. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Secondly, there's the project proposal plan. And this is the plan that you must submit as your assignment on OneFile. And thirdly, a document that I've created for you, which gives you an idea of the format of your written project work. You don't have to use this format at all. You can use your own format if you like, but this gives you a sort of idea of the layout of the document. The proposal plan is a key piece of documentation that you've got to write. And that is because this is what will be submitted as part of your portfolio to the endpoint assessing organisation, and it is a precursor, if you like, for them to see what the project is going to be about. So when the endpoint assessor reaches out to you for your first meeting with them, it will be discussed and a time frame will be agreed with you on when that project work should be completed by, if indeed it's not already completed. So what is the actual project work? What's entailed? Well, let's have a look. So in essence then, the project work is a written piece of work, plus or minus 10% to 4,000 words. And the whole point of the project work is to be able to relate to a work-based project or something that's happened in the workplace that you've been responsible for. It's preempted by that proposal plan that I mentioned earlier on, and it's absolutely key that you complete that and submit that. But this actual project work is something that can be agreed with the assessor on when it should be completed by, if indeed, as I've already said, you haven't already completed it. So let's, to avoid ambiguity, let's go through line by line. As part of preparation for the endpoint assessment, you are required to write about a project. The project should be completed during the latter stage of your apprenticeship program, typically within the last 6 months. You should work closely with your employer and trainer to determine a suitable project that is relevant to your own area of work. Once the area of focus of your project has been confirmed, you are required to present a terms of reference and an initial project plan, not more than 500 words, to both your employer and trainer coach for agreement. The proposal plan is available in your EPA area on your Padlet. We'll take a look at that project plan in a minute. Projects are typically expected to be based upon an agreed business problem that forms part of your role. The project should be broad enough that it enables your application of all outlined knowledge, skills and behaviours detailed within the work-based project brief, and they are also in this document for quick referencing. This written work is strictly to a word count of plus or minus 4,000 words. Use graphics and referencing, be mindful of vocabulary and punctuation, and remember all the learning you have done. Keep the reader interested and make it interesting. Now, quick notes here. TQ UK have made it very clear that they are strict with the 4,000 word count, plus or minus, and anything either side of that will be sent back to you. Now, what about the context and the content, if you like, of the project? Well, as it says here, you should include or use the following format. Notice it says should, not must, but should. So this gives you a good sort of indication of sorts of the structure of your project written work. An executive summary, always a good idea to have that first. An introduction, which gives a broad overview of the project work. The scope of the proposed project, the sort of detail on various different work streams, a project plan, and in this particular column I will link for you a project Padlet that you can utilize to help you with that, how the proposed project outcomes will be achieved, any comment on the validity of the methods of analysis, data interpretation and data presentation used, financial budgeting and resources, proposed implementation plan, which should include communications and stakeholder plans, advise whether an alternative approach might be considered, advise upon whether it could be completed in a more cost or time efficient manner, and recommendations and conclusions to finish the written piece. You should include an annex where you're able to demonstrate whether knowledge and skills are evidenced. This can be done by simply placing the appropriate knowledge or skill standard in brackets alongside your writing. Your annex can then directly reflect the paragraph or page number where the appropriate knowledge or skill area is demonstrated, and we'll look at that on the example sheet in a minute. You are also required to produce a presentation directly linked to your written project work, and that will be the next video that you watch after this. Further details of the presentation can be found in your EPA area on your Padlet, indeed on the next column along. What then follows, and I'll just scroll this down, is a list of knowledge and specific outcomes and criteria that should be contained in your project, your written project piece. So it's a good idea to utilize this as a good sort of go-to document to ensure that when you are writing about something, that you're including your understanding of evidence on how to complete or how to show your understanding of these specific criteria. Let's have a look at the project plan proposal. So here we are with the project proposal, and a note at this stage is that this is what is set for you on one file. On one file you are to complete this and submit it, not your completed project work. The completed project work and the time frame for handing that in will be agreed with the EPA assessor. All you're required to do is this project proposal plan. No more than 500 words, plus or minus 10%. And again, TQ UK are very strict about that. Very simply, it's a form, your name, the date that you submit, and then your written proposal in this box area here. Remember, 500 words plus or minus 10%. And then under the bottom here, line manager name and their signature and date, and then my name, my signature and date. Or that is all that is required of the project plan proposal, and this will then be attached to your other evidence and submitted to the EPAO. Let's now have a look at the example document. Here is the project example document. Again, it's not set for you on one file, so this template is available for you here directly, simply by clicking on the tile and then selecting download. And this is a very basic template, but I've put this together so that at least you've got something maybe that'll get your creative juices flowing. Very simply, a project title, your name, your organisation, the date and how many words. Right up front, let your assessor know how many words are in the project plan. And then we've got some headings: an executive summary, introduction, project scope, objectives, plan, outcomes, method analysis, financial budgeting, implementation, alternative methods, recommendations, and a conclusion. Points to note: at the bottom of each page is a page number and then a blank. Simply double click in there when you've completed it all and then enter in how many pages in total. And of course, make sure your name is on every single page. This is your work and you want to make sure that wherever it ends up, they know it is indeed yours. So please make sure you put your name in there. What else is in this document? Well, I've also included a bibliography format for you there. And on the next few pages, or on the next page, sorry, is the annex for the knowledge and skills evidence. And as it says here in red, refer to the project summary document. We had a look at that first, the first document, and insert here the knowledge and skills areas as evidence in your work and where that evidence is, i.e. what paragraph and what page number. And you can just simply bullet those in here in your free format however you want to. But the key thing is to make sure that this annex is included and that you've been very clear in here where you are able to evidence your understanding of the criteria in your written work. So there we go. That is a very simple project work template, the format that you can use. But of course, you're very welcome to create your own format. In summary then, the project work is the meat of your endpoint assessment. 4,000 words plus or minus 10%, precursored by a project plan, a project proposal plan, which must be completed 500 words plus or minus 10%. And it's this document that must be attached to your project assignment on one file. Your completed project written work will be submitted directly to your assessor at a time and a date agreed with them when they reach out to you. My strongest advice is that obviously you make a start on this very early, so that you're not waiting around for your endpoint assessment. The project format example document here is a document that you're very welcome to use, but the key thing about your project is that it's your project. Maybe do it on your organization's letterhead or a template that you could use internally. But if you haven't got any of those sorts of things, then you're very welcome to use this as a template. And by all means, reach out to your trainer coach. In this case, Mike, reach out to me and ask me if for a heads up and some initial feedback on your project work whilst you're waiting for your date with your endpoint assessor. I'll very happily read through it and feed back to you. Okay, on to the next video then, the presentation. What's all that about? Let's find out.